12:20. And do we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
You can if you'd like, we normally don't for this meeting.
Okay, not needed.
And I can do roll call.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Barkus,
Here?
Board Member Cease,
Here.
Board Member Chambers,
Here.
Board Member Lintamoon,
Here.
Board Member Davis,
Here.
and Board Members Doyle, DeVore, and Reagan are all absent.
I'll make a motion to excuse their absence.
I'll second.
Do I hear a vote then, please?
All those in favor?
All those in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Those opposed? None? Moving on to the minutes of the last meeting of June 8th. Are there any questions on that?
I'll move to approve.
Second?
Second that.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Okay, that's approved. And treasurer's report. Sue?
Okay. Currently, we're in a new fiscal year. We're beginning the year with $447,000, which is higher than we had anticipated it to be. Our current balance is $443,000. We've collected $27,500 in TIFA revenues so far this year. We budgeted $950,000 we will be collecting this fiscal year. I've also included the accounts payable listing if anyone has any questions.
I do have a question. I'm new to this, but as I look through the accounts payable, I see different supplies like towels and bath tissue and wood chips and that. Can you explain, is that items used in the DDA district?
Yes, yeah, all
City
the,
Hall?
Absolutely.
those are all used downtown.
Not City Hall, it would be
No.
probably the new restrooms
The new
over
restroom.
here on the Riverwalk that the toiletries would be for.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
Okay, good. Super. Okay, any other questions? Motion to approve Sue's treasurer's report.
A motion to approve.
Second?
Seconded.
Great, thank you. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Those opposed? Okay, public comments for not on the agenda. Unless Brandon has one, I guess we're good there. So, great. Old business, I don't believe there is any, so we will go right into the new business in the Ottawa Street Design Engineering.
Yes.
There's a lot of good stuff here, I read through that, so Mike, explain that to us.
Yep, in the fiscal year 23-24 budget, the DDA budgeted to repave Ottawa Street from Hudson to Brook Street. The city has budgeted to pave Brook Street in conjunction with this project to improve the overall area of this portion of the city. Attached is a proposal for design engineering for Ottawa and Brook Street. The project consists of removing and replacing existing asphalt. If necessary, the gravel base will be repaired. Any broken or settled or missing curb and gutter will be replaced. I just want to make it very clear, it will not go to dirt like Monroe is, so just so you're aware. Williams & Works has proposed design services that include soil borings to determine the existing base material, survey work to identify existing features, and help to set the limits of work and design of the street work to be completed. They will also prepare all construction documents and will bid the work for the city of Lowell. The DDA would be responsible for $11,500 of the total proposal. The remainder would be covered through the local street fund. I should note that the DDA or the city council approved the general fund or the local street fund share at their last meeting. I'm recommending that the Lowell Downtown Development Authority approve the design engineering services quote for Brook Street at a cost not to exceed $11,500.
Where is that DDA boundary down there?
Ottawa and Brook.
Okay.
So Ottawa goes, and right when it curves, Brook Street comes in,
Yep.
that's where it is.
Okay. There's probably not a lot of traffic on that street either.
No, but one of the things we've been trying to do with the street plan is trying to we're trying to do it for every area of the community. So we're not like, Because like for the 2 years right now, we're doing pretty much this area. So we're trying to get other areas of the city, so we're kind of like focusing on different areas at a time, so we're not just focused on one area. So that's kind of the plan overall with the street plan.
Trying to keep most of the people happy.
Doing the best we can, yeah, because I mean, we're not gonna be, people get mad because there's, I mean, I'm hearing it right now because, well, why wasn't Washington done before Monroe? And it's like, well, there's reasons for it, so.
So my question is just on timing. This is slated for construction in the spring of '24. Is that the same time that Washington Street will be
Yes,
worked on?
well, so normally the way I handle street projects, especially when it comes either out of local streets or the DDA, I fund them the year prior, and then in July, once the new fiscal year starts, I do the street. I do that for a reason, because I want to make sure the funds are there, and for cash flow purposes, so we don't run out of money, and then we can kind of do more streets that way.
Sure.
The plan would be, Washington will be on its way, but Ottawa and Brook will be done, I would assume probably July, August next year. That'll be probably like a 3-week process. It won't be 6 months like Washington and Monroe will be.
Good.
It'll be, these are pretty quick projects. They come through, basically take it down to the gravel, fix the curbs where they need to, pour the base, make sure everything's okay, come back through for the final coat and they're done. They usually can get through it in 3-4 weeks.
Sure, good. And these two streets are short. They don't need any infrastructure, wells, or, not wells, but,
No, there's no water, there's no water and sewer issues there.
good. Great. Okay, thank you. Mike, any questions? Okay, then, a motion to accept this proposal from Williams and Works for $19,800 not to exceed.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Susie, voice vote, please.
Board Member Farkas,
Yes?
Board Member Cease,
Yes.
Board Member Chambers,
Yes.
Board Member Lindblom,
Yes.
and Board Member Davis.
Yes.
Great, that's approved. Next, moving on to the Monroe Street Island, which this is very interesting. Mike, again.
Yeah, so a few years ago, when we had Dan Burton, this was probably 2018, he came to town and helped us with our walkability in the downtown. And also, we were in the process of doing our downtown master plan. It's always been an issue with Monroe Street here, all the way basically from Maine all the way to Atwood. But we talked about it a few years ago about doing something to basically enhance this area, but also try and calm the traffic in the area. Mainly, the biggest issue from what I see, well, besides the speed on Monroe, and we'll talk about that. That's a separate topic. But what I see a lot of times is people trying to come out and make a left-hand turn out of here. I think it's a lot safer for people when they come through this area to make the left turn off of Washington rather than making it off Monroe, because certain times of the day you just can't get out, just because it's narrow. I mean, it's really narrow in there and you can't see. And then on top of it, you have the speed issue at Monroe. That once Monroe is done, it's going to be a drag strip. Is our concern, and so. The thought process has always been, and the problem has been, because this project, so this portion of Monroe was never touched during the project because the underground work could be done. It's sewer lining, so they can do it and not have to tear up the road. So the thought process was we have to, in order with all our federal funding, and there's a lot of things that have to be done here, but wanted to get Monroe done first before we actually addressed this issue, because it would have just caused us a bunch of issues with getting the rest of the project done. So I'd like to consider, well, it's a process that doesn't necessarily involve you, but one of the issues about Monroe is it's a major street. It's deemed a major street in our street registry. So we get more money for Monroe than we do other streets in the city. So we have about just under 7 miles of major streets, and Monroe's about 3/4 of a mile, so we get a pretty large chunk of funding. And we get more money, we get significantly more money for the 7 miles of road that we have that's considered a major street than the almost 14 miles of road that's local. It's like 20, the 14 miles of road, or 13.4 miles of road, we get 1/4 of what we get for the 7 miles of road that are the major streets. So one of the issues is we can't take Monroe completely off as a major street because we lose money. But the thought process was actually like deactivating the portion of Monroe from Avery to Maine, and then keep the rest of it major, and then divert the traffic to Avery, which here is actually a major, and then actually out to Washington. Some people don't also understand, even though it's marked as not the truck route on Monroe, technically, I think you could make an argument that if a truck was actually ticketed for driving down Monroe because it's a major street, I don't think that would actually hold up in court. So technically, even though we recognize the truck route is Jefferson Street, if trucks go down there, and we do ticket it, but if they do, technically, we may not win that ticket. So the thought process was also, by putting an island here, making it nice, it'll divert the trucks off of that stretch of Monroe, which means it'll divert them off Monroe completely and keep them on Jefferson, where we've always wanted it to go. So when we did the downtown master plan, we just came up with some conceptual ideas about what we would like to see this. And we would have to budget this for next fiscal year, most likely, but I think now is the time to start thinking about it, and I wanted to see if the board would be interested in this. Because this would be something the DDA could fund. And I don't have a price yet. I mean, this is all conceptual at this point, so I don't even have estimate. I'm thinking you're probably going to look. I'm thinking you're probably, just to do this out, you're probably looking around $100,000. Is what I'm thinking.
So is there still traffic coming in only?
So you still have north-south traffic, but you could eliminate the left-hand turn coming out, and you would also force the trucks not to go down that stretch of Monroe. It keeps them, in essence, it keeps them off Monroe. The trucks can then go either off, if they're going and loading in here, they can either go in off Washington or Jefferson and come down Avery, because that's already their truck route for this.
I agree with the left turn
Yeah.
out of here. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
It is very dangerous.
So it would be required to turn right only.
You'd be right on the turn. Yeah. You couldn't, because the way I would want to design it is that basically the island is in the middle, so you can't turn left. So.
Mike, I'm not sure, why not make the whole road one way, farther to the north? I see more
I
changes.
thought about that, and that's an option, but I think it'd be confusing for people on this, who live on Monroe or who don't come through this area. If you have, let's say you have it one way in or just one way out, you're still going to have cars not understand that they're going to keep going up there. And then you have that one stretch that's one way, and then really a block of one way, and then you're going two way. I just think that's confusing to people. I think this. My thought process is that if you can kill two birds with one stone, you can address it by still having north-south traffic, eliminate the trucks, eliminate the left-hand turn, but also make it a little more aesthetically appealing in that area than what it is there now.
You don't think trucks would still come up there with an island in there?
I don't know. No, they'll not want to make the turn. I think my experience, and I'm sure Marty would say the same thing. My experience is when you put those islands in, those truckers hate them, and so they don't even like them, so they don't go down. If they can avoid it.
I know, it's tight if someone's
Yeah.
sitting in left when I'm trying to make a turn
Right.
to go home. It's tight if someone's
Right.
sitting there to try to turn left.
Right.
And these bollards, that prevents trucks for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's.
Yeah, there's different options you can consider. I mean, there's different things we can consider going through. I mean,
This is just one concept.
This is I'm not set to a particular concept, but something that would, something that would,
Is this a waterfall?
yeah, it was a proposal.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Are those parking meters?
We're not doing parking meters. No, we're not doing
Extra money,
parking.
wouldn't it?
No, I'm not doing that.
Mike, your page 15 from Williams Works, so this shows the one-way to the north, which
Yeah.
I personally think that's the best solution. I wouldn't want to try to turn.
And that's an option. That could very well be an option.
Okay, so this is just one option.
Yeah, that's an option. I mean, we can have different options that we can, I would actually, if the board was interested, I would reach out to Williams and Works to get an engineering proposal for it. And then we can start the conversation, so. But I mean, we can, if ultimately everyone thought the best route was one-way traffic, that's fine too. I'm not opposed to it. I was just trying to not cause as much confusion. I always think that, you're seeing it like even in city of Kalamazoo, they're eliminating all our one-way streets in their downtown because one-way streets are confusing.
Well, they were crazy.
Well, that was insane. I'm not, but it's still, even one can be confusing.
I'd be the first one to try to go back out.
Right, so would I.
Of course,
So-
they haven't.
So, I'm not opposed to any, at this point, it's like we're talking conceptually to try and address a problem, because we know that once that, anytime, any street, like, and we're actually even looking at the city, we're starting to investigate putting speed bumps in at certain locations. So, especially when we have some of these newer paved streets, they can become drag strips. But we also have some streets that, in the city right now, that are drag strips. And, one officer on patrol, we can't get them all, so.
Even
People who
though-
live in those areas are probably not gonna find it all.
I would hope not, So, but we're starting the research on that, so.
You can't
Next,
put-
sorry.
You can't put speed bumps out on here because it's the state highway. right?
No, we would put them on our streets. So my thought conceptually, just to start, I'd like to test them I'd like to definitely test one at Monroe. I'd like to test one at Riverside, Sibley, and the Hills at Division and James to start. But if there's more interest by residents, we could look at other locations as well.
The next step is to ask for a quote for the design engineer.
Yeah, I would come back with it. I would want to reach out to Williams and Works to see what an estimate would be for a concept design for this, so.
Would it make sense to have somebody from Williams and Works come to one of our DDA meetings?
That's what I would have them come, yes.
Because I have quite a few questions that might pertain to, how that design actually goes together.
Right,
And I'd like to explore the one-way too.
yeah, and that's fine, yeah, I'm fine with that. So I can at least get, I can have Williams and Works come to the next meeting and at least start talking about it, and then they can come back with a quote and go from there.
Yeah, but we're gonna foot a big bill, let's get it right.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I'm just trying to start the conversation because now that Monroe is gonna be done probably the next 2 months,
I like that bump out.
now's the time to do it.
I pass here every day, so it's a dangerous area, so.
It is, I don't like it.
I fully support this. I don't know if we need a vote or.
No, I just need your consensus, if there's consensus, it's time to look at this. I can bring Williams Works to a meeting, start the conversation, they can then from there get us a quote for engineering.
I like that idea.
I think we all approve the concept, a concept of some nature.
Yeah, like I said, we're nowhere near what you would do there, it's just a good starting point.
Bring it on.
Great.
Good idea. Lastly, new business, the bike rack.
Yes, so I've had some requests to continue to adding bike racks in the downtown. Currently, when we closed Broadway off back in 2017, we did put 3 bike racks in that parking lot. And the thought process would be to take that concept of bike racks and put them at other locations. But before I did that, got a budget or got pricing or anything, because basically I would just get the same model we have, because I'd hate to have different types of bike racks. I'd like to have consistency through the downtown. Wanted to just see if this is something that the DDA would be interested in. I would think it would be.
Yeah, I don't know why not.
Guys, yeah, but you can make them, the ones over there, you can't even tell the bike racks, but,
They almost look like a piece of art.
yeah, exactly, that's a lot of times what the bike racks do now, so, a lot of the bike racks you see now in the downtowns, they're basically almost art pieces.
Where are you thinking you'd go with?
So, I want to talk to, Jeff Phillips, but I was definitely thinking probably, obviously, probably like each of the blocks, where the buildings are, like where you have the multiple buildings, like, I would try, I'd put one like right here, one in front of your stores, just spread out throughout the downtown district, is what I was thinking.
Library.
Yeah,
Area,
that's it. Yeah, that's
definitely.
well. But yeah, I would want to obviously.
Close to the dam here too is a good one.
That's what I was thinking, like the dam.
And they're movable in case a specific location doesn't necessarily get used.
You can buy them so that you can remove them and take them somewhere else.
But the one down there is set in place, isn't it?
I believe that, but I still believe you can unscrew it.
Right.
There would be, it would be concrete, but they usually screw them in, so if you have to remove them, it can be screwed in and out.
Watching the usage, I think, is probably has a little importance to it.
Yeah, and I mean, the ones over there, you don't see a lot of people use them, but I think that
They're too far down.
they're too far down, but if you had them in more pedestrian
centrally
friend- or more-
oriented downtown.
more centralized areas, I think you get better use out of them.
Yeah, walkability is important, and rideability is, I think, is
Mhm.
important.
Yep. So, especially with the trail counter and all that, so I think it'd be a good idea. So if anyone has, consensus why, we could just at least start getting some estimates and stuff, and then come back with a, concept as to where we would place them.
Let's look at some numbers.
Okay. I can do that.
I have a question slightly off topic on bicycling and accessibility, and that is, there's an area right by the bridge that's very congested, just due to the constraints. And I know I'm supposed to ride on the road, but it's very tight and it's dangerous. But the sidewalk isn't appropriate. Is there any bike lane ability or any way to make biking right here by the
That's
bridge?
obviously that would be MDOT, and I know MDOT's not a big fan of bike lanes,
All right,
especially on state highways.
all right.
That being said, I bike through there, so basically the police department has kind of taken a position that in that area, like if you're going across the river through the downtown, they're really not enforcing that. So,
Sidewalks fine.
yeah, they're not going to make an issue. As long as people are being respectful, and we normally don't have issues, but the police department, they know that getting through there on bike is very much not safe, and they would prefer you actually being on the sidewalk in those areas than being on M21.
And I go slow, but it's,
As do I.
I wish there was a bike lane possible, but I understand.
Yeah. If it was our road, absolutely, it's something we'd definitely look at, but unfortunately it's not.
Very good. Moving on to reports and member comments. Rick?
I'm good.
Lori?
I'm good.
Martha? Good. Nicole? Likewise, same. Mike, do you?
Yeah, the only thing I have is I finally have gotten a handicap access grant request, so I just got it yesterday, and it was for Amanda Rogers' new building. So they put an application in, so I talked to her yesterday and told her that I would take a look at it and bring it to the next meeting. I don't foresee a September meeting, it'll probably be the October meeting, because we already have to, that's our informational meeting that we already have to notify the state on, so, or notify the tax jurisdictions on, so my thought was bringing it in October, and I talked to her about that.
Very good. Good to see that's in the works and moving. I think that'll be a good thing. I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Second. We're adjourned at 12:45. Thank you. Thank you.